So for our mini 2-day project, we're going to work on a kaleidoscope design, and I have a sample from earlier in the day here to give us an idea of what I'm looking for. But in case you're like, I've heard of that, I can't picture what a kaleidoscope looks like, I had a picture from before on here. So this is like the Amazon version. Like it's a kid's toy is essentially what it is. It looks like one of those paper towel tubes with another little paper towel tube attached to it. But inside it here, so you can see here, there's usually different color, like transparent beads or transparent pieces of like plastic or glass. And this part rotates. So it constantly changes design. So did a little research on it, and I found that it was like invented by accident. It was actually supposed to be part of like a science experiment about like light refraction, but it ended up being used as like a children's toy. Now, when we're going to make our own version of a kaleidoscope, you can see that we have a few things in common with all of these designs. So when I look at a pretty design like this, or perhaps like this, what are some of the same things we keep seeing in these designs I'm demonstrating? You're definitely seeing bright colors. That's a great one. What else are we seeing a lot? Patterns. Perfect. What are you going to say? Patterns. Okay, no problem. Patterns are a good one. Okay. And another thing I want to point out is like we've got this kind of symmetry with it. So in most cases, if I slice it like a pizza, for the most part, every slice is equal. So we've got this, what we call radial symmetry, which means that symmetry is coming from the center and like radiating outward. So the big key I'm looking for in your project is that you're going to have this lovely, colorful pattern that is symmetrical from the center like a big old pizza. It's a 20-point project. If you hate it and make it today, you can make another one tomorrow in probably half as much time, and you'll have the video to refer to as well, which will make life a little bit easier too. So I have a few examples here of prior ones from the past. So we're going to start with a photo. The topic of the photo, pretty much up to you. There's lots of different options for that one. So for example, this student went with a big old handful of gummy bears and got a really cool design. Flowers, fruits. So what are some of the things in common you're seeing with some of the pictures chosen? They're all bright for the most part. I agree with that. What else? Go ahead. Yeah, you definitely want to. We could even crop it so you're picking something that the image is filling the whole space. Great. And there's the big key is that there's multiple of everything. It's not just one fruit. It's not just one flower or one petal. There's multiples, and that's what helps give you that super awesome, very beautifully detailed kaleidoscope design. Got a few bad ones here. So these aren't just photos. These are finished projects that just didn't turn out so hot. So same thing when I go in with my pen later. When I divide this into my pie, like I talked about before, each slice isn't really equal. There's this like box here that's definitely all off. So something like that, definitely not radially symmetrical. This one, symmetrical like that, but definitely not along these corners like that. So that's something we want to keep in mind as we work. Color-wise, talk about this one. Yay or nay on the colors for this guy? Okay, I'm hearing a nay. Any other nays out there? Okay, I'm seeing a few like, I guess I don't like it. So we're going to go with we probably don't like it. If we have a lot of like really bright saturated colors, it can be unharmonious and unpleasant to look at. So bright colors are great, but we want to make sure that it's not an overwhelming amount of bright colors. And in case you're wondering, this was actually a tree with lots of branches. So you could get a cool design from a tree too. Okay. So those are just a few tidbits we're going to keep in mind for the project here. And then I'm going to do the demo on here. Of course, I'll record it. And you could always refer to that because I know sometimes recalling all the steps can be really, really annoying. Okay. So I'm actually going to just start right over. so you can see what I'm going to work on. And for my beginning picture, I actually chose sprinkles. I think they're still saved here. I hope that's it. But I'll go in. I just chose like the sprinkles that you put on your ice cream. And you could really go with any picture you want, but I picked one that was more like all sprinkles like that. Okay. And the key was is that I right clicked and I saved it. So that way it popped up down here in the bottom. And then I dragged it right into Photoshop. So I don't have to open up a new file. I'm just going to work straight off my picture. Okay. And chances are your picture probably won't be a square. Or you know what? It may look like a perfect square, but it's probably not. And that can be really tricky. So our first step before we do anything is that we unlock the layer. I find if you don't do that, it's very difficult and it really trips you up later on. Okay? And also, I have a really giant picture here. It's 18 inches big, so we need to make it a lot smaller. So, who remembers the tool we use? If we want to, like, perhaps cut away all the stuff we don't need outside of a picture. Starts with a C. Crop. Thank you. Super. So, once you pick your crop tool, there's a nice little drop down at the top here, and you can pick the one that says square. And I'm going to make this a lot smaller, and it's always going to keep it a perfect square, no matter how big or small I'm going to make it. So I'm going to make it about that big. I hit enter to commit to my crop, and now I've got like a decent size project to work with. It's all sprinkles, no plain background, just all about the sprinkles today. So in order to make this project work, I'm going to make my canvas, that working space, a lot bigger. I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size, and that's not a perfectly round number, and that's really annoying. But I'm going to just double the width of my canvas. So I'm going to change it from inches to percent. And if I want to double it, I'm going to change it from 100 to what? Perfect. And pick a side. I'm going to pick the right side like that and click on that little box. And it's going to leave a nice blank space for me. So I'm going to basically duplicate that image and I'm going to mirror flip it. So I'm going to right click to duplicate it. So it's sitting right on top. And then in order to flip it, I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. So they're still sitting on top of one another, but if I drag it over like this, what do you notice about like the layout of my images? Yeah, it's like I opened it like a book. It's symmetrical right down the middle, which is perfect. Okay. You may have that little line in between. I may switch it together a little bit like that. Sometimes you see the line from far away, but not up close. So I'm going to keep it like that. Now, I want these to be one big layer. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key and click the other layer. And what do you notice happened? Tell me what's happening with my selections. Go ahead. Good. I selected both layers. I'm going to right click on one of them and merge them. So now they're just one big old layer. So I want to make this into a big square. So what should I do next to my big canvas to make it into a square? I want another picture of this down here. So what should I do to my canvas? I made it wider before, so this time I should do what instead? Instead of wider, go taller. Good. Image, canvas size. Again, weird numbers. I didn't use inches. What did I use last time? Percent. And to double it, I'm going to put in 200 and click at the bottom. So now I have room and I have my perfect square. We're like 90% done at this point. Okay. So I'm going to need another copy of this like sprinkle thing here. How do I duplicate my layer? What did I do? Right click and duplicate. And I want it to give that kind of mirror reflection. So I'll edit, transform, flip vertical this time. Oops. And I'm going to use my arrows, or you could just drag it up so we're not here all day. And you have that nice mirror reflection from the top to the bottom, which looks pretty good. Yeah, it meets, it's good. I know sometimes if you're zoomed out, you see a baby line. All right. So I want these to be one big layer. So I right click and I'm going to do what to make those two layers into one? Merge them together. Cool. So there's pretty much just one more step you would have to do to get your beautiful kaleidoscope design. Duplicate the layer. And then what I like to do is, skip the step, is I rotate it. Control T. And I kind of see this line going through this way. So I'm going to rotate it so it's like maybe 90 degrees like that. It's still not symmetrical, but if I go to this drop down here where it says normal and I scroll through here, it's just trial and error. It depends on your picture. I actually like that one a lot. You'll scroll through and you'll start to get that kaleidoscope design. So this is called a layer blend, and it's how Photoshop allows the visibility between different layers, and it can create really cool different effects. So I chose multiply for this top layer. I don't even have to do it on my bottom layer. But when I look at it, if I cut it into that like pizza I was talking about before, I have each slice is pretty much equal. I can kind of still tell it's sprinkles, which is cool too. It's not like hitting me in the face with really oversaturated colors. It looks pretty nice. And it's a square, which is quite important too. Okay. I know it's a lot of steps, and that's why we're recording it. Do you have any questions about the process so far?